Hi, I'm Owen Raisch, President for the Student Run Business Association. Excited to be here with Ria Kokkengada. Ria, did I get that right?
Yes,
All
perfect.
right. I've been practicing. Who is our new Student Vice President for the Student Run Business Association. We've been super excited to have Ria, who I met last year at SURGE Expo25 at Stanford. While we were like recruiting the VP role, and thought, oh, Ria would be great. And I get home and check the application box and there is her name. So it was super exciting. Ria, I'm going to start out by letting you do a quick introduction. I did incorporate, I know that you're at Penn, where we're excited to be hosting the conference this fall. And but tell us a little bit about yourself, just basic background, what brought you to Penn. We don't need to get into details just yet. And then how you ended up in this position at SRBA.
Yeah, awesome. So hi, my name is Ria. I'm a junior at the Wharton School of Business at UPenn, concentrating in finance and management. Originally, I'm from the suburbs of Pennsylvania, Philly specifically. I served as CEO at Penn Student Agencies, so that's a collection of 100% student-run businesses at Penn, and also a founding member of the SRBA, which is really cool. I sat on the portfolio team, so that offered strategic and operational support for all the agencies under PSA. I think why Penn, I'm from the Philly suburbs, so Penn has always been a really big dream of mine. I applied early decision, and once I visited campus, saw the energy, opportunity, the city landscape, I really knew is where I belonged. And then I would say kind of full circle moment of what solidified my decision to apply and join the SRBA was my experience at the conference at Stanford this past November. It was surreal seeing other student leaders and realizing just we're all part of something bigger than ourselves. And I thought my experience at PSA would offer a really unique perspective. So I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's great. You're right. It's really neat to see that you're part of something bigger. In fact, it's at so many major schools.
Yeah.
Similar to Penn. It really is kind of mind-blowing that people are getting such a similar experience at such different places. I know what you're talking about. Okay, so I prepared some questions to run through that I thought, and I let Ria take a look at them ahead of time. But I thought these would be really great for letting people, giving them a good sense of who you are and where you came from. One that wasn't on the list though, but it kind of incorporates is, I want to understand, if I'm somebody who's watching this video, maybe another student who wants to get into UPenn or loves the idea of joining a student-run business program, or wants to become leader of something like the student-run businesses, or kind of follow a similar path. I think that what they will want to know about is who you are as a person and who you were starting back in high school. Now, maybe before we go there, let's get a snapshot of why they should care. So, Ria, tell us just the top line, what's going on at PSA? What are you guys doing? What made it exciting for you? And what was your day-to-day like when you were CEO at PSA? Just, you can keep that really tight. I just want to start with that.
Yeah, so if you're thinking about joining an SRBO or getting involved with student-run businesses, do it. I think no doubt that's my first piece of advice. And then specifically about PSA, I would say we oversee 3 agencies. So that's Williams Cafe, that's a student-run coffee shop and really a social hub on campus. The Records, that's Penn's official student yearbook, which offers photography services as well. And then for services, that's laundry, water delivery, dry cleaning, care packages. So there's really a diverse portfolio that we have. And what's really exciting was all of these gave me experience outside of what I was learning in classes, hands-on things that I could apply even during my time at Penn, but also post-grad as well. I think that was super unique and something I would say is not offered anywhere else on campus. In my role specifically, I also acted as the external liaison for PSA, so engaging with university departments, but also the broader Penn community. PSA has been around for over 90 years, so being a part and contributing, even in a small part, to that legacy was really exciting.
What's an example of something that a decision or an idea that you embraced in your role as VP at the SRBA so far? Like, what's something that was really important to you that you wanted to make sure that we implemented, and or that's been on your mind?
Yeah, so I think, sorry, can you say that one more time? I apologize.
So now I'm looking at your role at the Student
Yeah.
Business Association as VP, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering like if there's anything that's like been a big idea, challenge, question that you've dealt with, or move that you've made, something that was really important for you that we implement at the association level. I realize it's a little vague, but I'm trying to give you some room just to find something that mattered a lot and point it out. This was not on our list, so.
No, of course. I think in terms of in my role as VP so far, I would say one thing that I'm really excited to build upon is the member engagement piece. I think being part of an SRBO myself before joining this, I think there is so much possibility for engagement between different leaders and different groups and knowledge transfer and learning from one another. So that's something I'm really excited to build upon. For example, the workshop series that we're starting, the one next week as well, I think there's a lot of opportunity for growth of each SRBO by interacting with others. So I think that's something that I'm really excited to build upon and use my CEO, but also as a VP myself at PSA and bring that.
Yeah, I love that too. Like, I can't imagine a more powerful, awesome alumni network than students that have led student-run business programs after they graduate and years down the road. So cool, like doing these initiatives to bring them together. I also loved how you finally got us to get on a regular monthly rhythm with our email updates. A lot of things have clicked into place recently, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to go back to the script a little bit. Going back to high school, like, why? You must have been a great student. What motivated you to perform? What were you like? What were you good at? Thinking you were freshman, sophomore year, and when did like the idea of going to Penn come to your mind?
I would say coming to Penn was always a dream. Just being a Philadelphian, even though I'm from the suburbs, that's always been a dream of mine. I think what really helped me in high school and who I was is I found my passions really early on. I was able to articulate that in my application. I would say in high school, I did not follow a traditional path. I really went down my own road. At one point, I wanted to study law, and then it was chemical engineering before I really found a home in business. So I think that exploration was more of a strength than a setback, really. I think that was like what I had to realize, but there's really no one size fits all path to Penn. I think as long as you're like curious, passionate, and really true to yourself, it shows.
So that's as a student you were looking at I already forgot what you said. Chemical engineering, yeah. As a student, you were thinking. And like, how did that play out? Like you said, you tapped into your passions, but what were you doing as a student that was consistent with that idea or other passions?
Yeah, so I would say a lot of my passions were not academic in the traditional sense. A big one of my main roles was president of the Pennsylvania Girl Up Coalition. That's a United Nations Foundation initiative that provides leadership development to youth across the world. I'm a really strong proponent for menstrual equity, which is something that I'm still passionate about and I've taken into college. So a lot of my passions were outside to the traditional academic lens, but I was able to lean into it in different ways. I think studying law, chemical engineering kind of came with that. I would say my passions came first and then what I wanted to study followed.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's great. So some terrific leadership showing like your interest in a specific topic and tying it to professional learning and skills. Okay. Is there anything, okay, so once you decided, which I guess you're a baby, and then you're like, Penn would be amazing. I don't blame you. Penn's an incredible institution, top business school in the world, I think, depending on what year and list you look at. It's definitely. And it's beautiful. And in Philadelphia, I do love Philadelphia. I didn't realize how nice it is.
It's the best.
It has kind of a questionable reputation maybe, but it's really gorgeous. Yeah, and fun. Anyway, so you decided that you wanted to go, you applied, and you got in. So what like, number one, what was the application process like? What do you attribute most to like you actually getting into Penn is a question that I have. And so application, what part of that application do you think most might have caused you or enabled you to get into Penn? And then we'll talk about what it was like to get that acceptance letter?
Yeah, so I think that's a hard question. One I also had to grapple with too when I first got in. I still think about it now, almost 3 years later, really what made that difference. I think, first of all, I'm going to attribute a bit of it to luck. I would be just as surprised as the next person. I would also say, I think, coming back to that passions, it's not only doing what you love, but being able to articulate it clearly. I think that was the biggest thing I think it's very easy to think about what you should be doing, but as long as you really do what you want and stay true to yourself, I think that's like the biggest thing. I think people can tell when there's a real genuineness in your application. And I think that showed, hopefully at least.
Yeah. So not only like you're saying, hey, it is really important just to find what you really care about, find your passions, pursue them with some kind of intensity, but then that doesn't matter if you can't articulate it. So your ability to write that out. Now, did you have like perfect scores on everything?
No, definitely. No, for sure. No, I think academic and scores are one thing,
Okay.
which there's like a certain, but definitely not perfect for sure.
So not on the standardized tests, you didn't get perfect, a little shy there, but your academic scores were good.
Perfect on the back of the SAT, but like I think there's a little more to it too.
Some room. Okay, good. All right. Well, I won't make you disclose all the details. Okay, great. So that's awesome. Cool to hear a little bit about what you were like in high school. Were you into sports?
I did. I played tennis. I was actually co-captain of my high school girls tennis team. So that was a big part of why I love working in teams as well.
Yeah, some more leadership experience. No question, like leading a sport is great. It's the best analogy for running a business, I think, because you got the team. It's like, hey, we're really here to perform really well, but we still have like a lot of camaraderie. I don't know. I feel like the sports was a great way to learn how to do business.
Yeah, it was one of the highlights of my high school experience for sure. I was on the team all 4 years. I played varsity doubles, and it was something I still think about to this day.
Okay, so we have another question here for you. Following up on the high school and admissions, what is the best advice you would give to a high school student who just loves, like maybe their goal isn't necessarily to get into Penn, but they just really want to follow a similar path? Is there any advice you would give? You could call it to yourself, your sophomore year of high school, that you feel like could really make a difference, or freshman?
Yeah, so I would say, even if you're looking, whatever college you're looking at or potential field of study, you can do it too. I genuinely mean that. I said this before, but like if I had told my junior self where I am, I'd probably be the first one to laugh at you. It's okay to do things differently. I think it's so easy to get lost in what you should be doing, but don't be afraid to explore, change your mind to once, twice, 3 times. It's okay. And also, I think the biggest thing is talk to people. Questions, seek advice. You'll never know what you learn. I think even if you have a 30-minute conversation, like one snippet of advice is something you could take for the rest of your journey beyond. So I would say talk to people. I would say that's one thing too, as a high school student, I wish I had done more of.
What's an example? So that's great for some of the people that might be here as staff or alumni, you in 1 year. People that want to like have helpful conversations with students. What's an example of one of those important conversations that you had when you were younger that you wish you had more of?
Yeah, so I think advice for mentors or like an alum is mentorship is really an honor. So when someone is seeking you out and asking for advice, it's really special. So I think it's not just about giving guidance, it's about really listening as well. I think I've been lucky enough to find that sort of mentorship here in school with upperclassmen who have gone through exactly what I've been going through. So not only having them give me their advice, but listen and feeling that the struggles that I also went through, they heard. So I think that was one thing. I'd also say it's really important to stay involved. I think one thing that's great about Wharton is our alum are really connected and stay coming back. It's really easy to move on to the next best thing in your career, your life, but it's really important to come back, offer advice and support. It could be really game-changing for someone just starting out, I know personally.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's really great advice. So your point is, hey, first of all, like take honor at the fact that somebody's coming to you for some mentorship and advice. and treat it with that kind of respect, because students can pick up on how you think about it. But another thing is like making sure that you're taking the time to really hear and understand what the person you're talking to has to say. It's almost like the list, like being heard is sometimes, I think that's totally true. Like just being heard and having a chance to talk to somebody can be as powerful, because your thoughts get to play themselves out with this particular person. It's like a unique situation. It's different than journaling or something. So being heard is sometimes more important than whatever they might say back to you. I guess I'm repeating it back to you, but I like that.
No, I think it shows you really, really listening, which I appreciate.
There we go. All right, let's see. I've got another question here for you. So let's start working our way closer, I guess, to today. Over the past few years, including your leadership experience at Penn, what have stood out as some of the biggest achievements you've had personally? Well, like what are a couple of the things that you are the most proud of during your leadership roles? And I think at least one for the SRB program for Penn student agencies, but there might be something else you'd like to mention too.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest and like achievements at PSA I can even think about is one of my favorite moments, which happened recently, was we had our leadership transition dinner. And that was so incredible, sitting with the team, sharing memories, and really celebrating what we had built. It was something that was the first time when I transitioned to my current role, something we hadn't done. So it was a really great full circle moment to experience. I think that's one of like the biggest achievements, was really being able to sit down and share that with the new team. At PSA specifically, I think that was one of the best moments. Similarly, I think within like Girl Up, which is something I did in high school, so kind of taking it back, was what really started me getting into business was creating a Welcome to the Business World speaker series. And at the end of the series, we had a person who spoke about her experience really taking on her career journey. And someone came up to me and later and said, this like changed my career and what I want to do with the rest of my life. This was a high school student, and that was incredible. If I can make even a small impact in someone's life, or that's what really matters to me. So I think those are two kind of big achievements, or something where I see I've been able to make an impact, which is really awesome.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Awesome. Two good examples. Okay, I'm bouncing between a couple questions, but here's another one. Looking back at your time during as a leader at PSA, okay, just give me a second here. I lost it. Okay, we kind of covered this earlier, but are there any like major personal challenges, like where you realized that you had to do something differently, or maybe you just found like yourself were dealing with some major, I don't know, like what were the most difficult experiences that you had personally? Or you can approach that however you'd like, but this personal challenges category.
Yeah, so I think personal challenge-wise, I think one of the toughest things was managing my academics, other extracurriculars, but also just enjoying life as a college student. Honestly, that's something I'm still working on, finding that balance. I think it's made me a stronger student though overall, and a more intentional person. I've learned to, I would say, like prioritize what really matters to me. It's a lot about quality over quantity. So that's a lesson that I'll learn. I think it's a challenge and something I still grapple with even a year and a half into my journey at PSA.
Okay. Yeah, cool. That makes a lot of sense. That's really tough, like people trying to balance the two out. So what is the answer to that? Did you find yourself in situations where you had to decide between studying for an exam and like doing something really important for the business?
Yeah, no, again, these are such great questions, and the answers are, I wish they were simple. I think it came down to, there is times where you're going to have to make the decision on what you do with your time, whether it is maybe making that extra 30 minutes it is to respond to emails or studying for that exam. I think Google Calendar has become my best friend. I would say that for anyone listening. GCal the best. I also
That's
think
a great tip. Use your digital calendars.
yes, I've become the person who like allots every minute of every day, which I did not think I would become. I think sometimes you do have to make those trade-offs or decisions. So some days it would be I would answering the emails, and other it is I'm going to put down my work to study for the exam. So sometimes you do make those choices, but it's something I learned through time and experience.
Yeah. Okay, great. So we didn't get like a specific instance. You're pointing out that is a really hard thing to deal with. And then it sounds like it's just, you got to make the decision in the moment. You shouldn't come to it with like a set plan or way of dealing with it. Like you got to figure out what matters now the most and how am I going to approach this problem? And it's a very personal, situational issue. Is that fair?
Yeah, I agree. It depends on the exam, but also the decision you're having to make as well. I think it is like kind of was a game time decision when it came down to those things. And then finding that balance is something I would love to say I found, but I think I'm still learning.
Okay. Yeah, that's terrific. Okay. All right. So this is a little practical, but I'd like to know in your leadership roles with PSA, what's an example of something that you did that really helped improve the bottom line? Like improve the revenue that one of the businesses was getting, or the program overall. It could be like through sales. It could be a new initiative that you did or a fundraising thing that happened. What stands out to you?
Yeah, so I think during my time at PSA, what I think is really great is it's a culmination of a lot of tiny decisions that then leads to larger jumps in sales or profitability. One of the biggest things that I wanted to focus on during my term, my vision was really getting out to the Penn community. I think PSA is sort of a hidden gem of Penn's campus where unless you really know about it, you don't know too much about what we do. So I would say a large part of my term and what I did was really driving the marketing and our interacting with the Penn community. So it's really having a presence at Quaker Days, at new student orientation, at alumni weekend, which is something new we did as well. So I would say all those things drove awareness, which then led to more people getting involved and stopping by Williams Cafe for a coffee or purchasing a launch brand through First Services. So there's a lot of like tiny decisions and getting out there that I think really made the biggest impact.
Okay, cool. So that was an initiative that you led and you saw some results, or not maybe a single initiative, but that's an example of something that you focused on. And you did see sales increases for some of the businesses after doing outreach.
Yeah, I think we've seen like post-COVID, it took us time to build up our businesses to where they were pre-COVID. And I think the biggest part was like bringing awareness back to PSA and all it offered. I think additionally on that like kind of same note with PSA, it's a credible place where it's a one of a kind, which I talked about, but also the services offered are really beneficial for students. So the more more people know about them, the more that they'll use them. So it's just kind of one note on PSA.
Yep. Straightforward. All right, thank you. Okay, let's see. So now you've been at Wharton, right? That's where you're taking classes, is in the Wharton College of Business, basically. Mm-hmm. And what have you learned there? Tell us the secret. Right. This is one of the number one schools, maybe the number one. And I haven't gone there. What can you tell me so that I don't have to go? what are some of the secrets of Wharton? Yeah, I know it's a totally unfair question, but like, what are a few of the things that stand out where you're like, wow, you know what, this was a huge lesson for me and maybe I wouldn't have gotten it somewhere else?
Yeah. So my time at Wharton has been a large learning opportunity. I think the biggest thing is the other students and the peers at PSA. PSA and Wharton, sorry. I think it's really, I think both. It's really inspiring because you're surrounded by truly some of the most brightest, most driven people really across the world. It's a tangible feeling. Like when I'm sitting in Huntsman Hall right now, like I feel it. Like it drives me to do my best and be your best self. So even if you're in classes where you're learning material, it's the people that are around you that really make the difference. What's cool is everyone brings such different perspectives. I'm from the Philly suburbs. So I think it's really great to hear people from across the world, which I never would have interacted with. So I think it's the people, honestly, which I wish I could tell you on this call how that give a more concrete answer, but I really think it's my peers that have driven me to be my best, but also where you learn the most.
Oof. Yeah, now we have to go. You didn't give us like the answers.
No, I mean, everyone's gonna have to come to the SURGE conference in November.
Okay, yeah. Oh, shoot.
In the fall, is what I'm hearing.
Wow, Ria, you're such an expert. This is really well done. Yeah, everybody. Wharton, you can't just like hear the secret. You have to go and meet the people, and they're going to help you level up. They're going to push you and motivate you and inspire you. And the only way you can experience that is by coming to SURGE Expo25 at Penn.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm learning.
Nice. All right. Good job, Ria. Okay, so I think like we have a few minutes left, but I'd like to loosen it up a little bit and see if there's anything that, you know, stood out to you that you thought was important to share or that you might like to talk about here. Anything that's been on your mind while I like see if there's some other questions that I missed?
Yeah, let me just quickly think of,
I think one thing that we could talk about, but we didn't, is your professional career and what you want to do next. So like, what has all this set you up for? You had an excellent career in high school, did pretty diverse searching, changing your mind a lot. You ended up in business school, which is flexible, gives you some flexibility. And now the world is your oyster. What are you going to do?
I think that's the exciting part, is there's just so many paths that you could take. The sky's the limit through PSA,
but you can't
also
take all of them.
I know, it's just hard. I know, I like to change. I think through PSA and my classes, I built a strong business acumen, but also soft skills. That's working with a team or communication skills. I'll be in New York this summer, so I'm really excited to continue to explore what's out there. I think what PSA teaches you is their entrepreneurial skills, but there's also people that go into finance and consulting or even research. So I think there is just, it sets you up for success. I would say that's kind of career path, keeping it open, but I'll be in New York this summer.
Okay. All right, great. Well, that's terrific. I want to go ahead and wrap up, I think, unless there was anything else that stood out to you. But I do want to know if like there's any, do you have any guess where you're going to be in 5 years?
Oh, in 5 years, I would say that's like a good question. I think career-wise, I hope I have it figured out for sure. I'd love to right now as a student in college, be in New York. I think that's just where I kind of see myself in the future. I don't know. I think that's what's the great thing is like a few years time. I'm barely thinking about senior year of college. I can't even believe that. So I think 5 years post-grad, as long as I'm continuing to learn and grow both as a person, but also in my professional career as well, that's a success.
Yeah. Okay. That's a great point. And New York is a terrific place to go and explore. So many opportunities, such an exciting city. Don't bring too much money because you're going to lose everything that you bring. But or that's my experience anyway. Well, Ria, thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited to share this with, other students online. Hopefully some folks pick it up. If they'd love to chat with you, they can reach you. I'll tag you on Instagram and LinkedIn. And it's so excited to have you in the SRBA and excited to see you start like getting this year off to a great start in your role as VP. And everybody should join these workshops and other programs that is helping to lead. Sign up for our newsletter on SRB's website. Thank you, Ria. It's great to see you. All right, we'll talk to you soon.